call to order the Skokie Public Library Board meeting Wednesday, June 11th, 2025, 6:30. Susie, do we have any comments from the observer?
We do not.
So first order is the approval of the minutes of the regular and annual meetings of May 14th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular and annual meetings of May 14th, 2025? Motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that passes unanimous. Are there any questions? Oh, any,
Just in case.
any opposed?
Sometimes it's hard to tell when it's
Yeah, we have waited.
you have four.
Great.
Strong four.
Yes, four.
Okay, then we can go to the next one. Okay, so can I get a motion to keep closed the minutes of November 13th, 2020? Oh, wait. Oh, we're gonna open, okay. So motion to open the minutes of November 13th, 2024 and December 11th, 2024.
So moved.
Second?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay,
Second.
okay, so that passes. Any questions? Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
And one abstention.
and one abstention. Okay.
Well, we should,
Well, we're done with the open.
yeah.
Okay, so motion to keep closed the minutes of September 10th, 2014, December 13th, 2017, February 10th, 2021, March 10th, 2021.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay,
Discussion.
any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. That's it. Okay. So now we move to the approval of the destruction of audio recordings of closed session minutes of June 14th, 2023, July 12th, 2023, August 16th, 2023, September 13th, 2023, October 11th, 2023, December 13th, 2023. Motion to approve the destruction of audio recordings of the closed minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, any abstention? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
So that passes through.
okay. And now we move to the director's report.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's nice to be with all of you. So just a few items on my director's report. Good news, we just heard from the Office of State Senator Laura Fine that we may, there's $300,000 allocated for the library from the Bill Illinois Bond Fund to the DCEO, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunities. So if you recall, last year we received some money from the DCEO as well. And so this year, we were notified that there was an allocation of money for the library. So Allison and I are in the process of working with the DCEO grant manager to fill out all the paperwork, and we're hoping that one of our past recent substantial capital improvement projects will be partially reimbursed essentially after we complete the paperwork. So sometimes this process takes a while to get through, so just wanted to inform the board that that's on the horizon. I'll just say that I'll just jump down to the last one. Honestly, there's not a lot to say about the other two, but I recently came back from a conference, so this ULC Urban Libraries Council CEO Roundtable, and I hope you had a chance to read my short report there. It was a really fantastic conference, and what I was taking away from it the most were basically, we're doing a great job. A lot of the conversation that around social impact of libraries and the role of libraries in community health and kind of working on connectedness and belonging and combating isolation, encouraging civic dialogue. All of those things were at the forefront of the conversation amongst this group of leaders, and I felt really good about that aligning with the strategic priorities that we've had recently, and also the work that a lot of our staff here in the room have taken on internally and externally. So in the community, in the library, among our staff. So it felt good to hear all that. It felt like we were on the right track from what others were starting to talk about, and we've already made a lot of strides in these areas. So just wanted to share that. I thought it was encouraging. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I did. You know, you had mentioned that it's not based on just quantitative data alone. They did have a study about talking about capturing the emotional, intellectual, social, and creative impact. Do you know how they went about capturing that kind of?
I don't know all the specifics, but what they presented in a very short presentation was that they worked with the Danish firm actually and had a number of questionnaires, surveys that they use for people who are using the library collection spaces, programs, and they had a set of questions getting at, whether there was like an emotional impact, social impact, creative impact, intellectual impact. And so I don't know the details of what the questions were or even the presenter shared the results of that, and that's interesting too. I mean, it's nothing like earth-shattering in terms of like, in the sense that we didn't know that libraries provided that and had that impact, but it was good to hear one library's experience in actually formally studying that and coming to that conclusion. And so my understanding is that a lot of Canadian libraries are going to be working together now to replicate that process to see if they can have a stronger pool of data that they can reach the same results with. So, yeah, I can share the website later on.
Yeah, that would be interesting. My wondering is kind of if you found any gaps, or if there's ones, when we think back to any of the survey questions that we've done and kind of both, I know we do a lot of anecdotal and some informal, and so it'd be interesting to see how they went about kind of capturing that kind of information, what tools that they used in order to do that, and then, I'm always interested to see where we're not meeting those needs, right? Or if we have a baseline, in another year or two after we've continued to implement the strategic plan, do we see that improvement, right? So capturing some of that qualitative data into quantitative measures, I think is really important too.
I agree, and so that this is a new study that I just found out about, but I had a conversation with Nancy, our director of engagement. We talk a lot about our strategy and our strategic plan, and we'll definitely dig into this. It's something that I feel like we can learn from.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree.
Right, thank you.
It's personal.
The approval of the May 2025 disbursement report. Anyone have any questions? Can I have a motion to approve the May 2025 disbursement report?
So moved.
Second.
This will be individual votes, so Jean,
Yes.
Alisa,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
yes for me. And then the approval of the consent agenda.
So I have a question. Page 18, on the year-to-date budget status, If you look at the total line, the bottom line, it has our approved budget of 17.6 million. It says we've spent 1.078 million. Our amount of budget remaining says it's 14.6 million. Those numbers don't add up. Because if you subtract 1.078 from 17.6, you get 16.5. They also don't have going down. If you take that same column of budget remaining, which says we have 12,964, and you add in the 1.6, the 77, the 958, and 600, you would get 16.2 million, as opposed to if you're adding it across, you get 16.5 million. So there's something wrong with the numbers, or I'm not understanding. It's not 14.6.
I apologize for that. We'll give you an updated year-to-date. I apologize for that.
Like I say, and you get two different numbers if you go down versus if you go across.
We have to look at this closely.
Indiana?
I was just wondering what the car trouble was.
Car trouble?
Sounds to be over here and also in the budget.
I don't think it was trouble, it's just a regular maintenance for the bookmobile. The bookmobile repairs and maintenance tend to be substantial amounts. So, yeah, I think it was a generator maintenance repair to it.
Any other questions? Should we hold off on the lead and the updated?
I don't think it's, I mean, it's up to the board, but it's not, it's just a calculation. It's not substantial in terms of what we're reporting and how we're communicating it. But it's up to the board, honestly.
We're not approving the budget here.
It's not approval, it's just a report of,
If you'll get us an amended one.
yeah,
Well, if you get them an amended one.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'll give you an amended year-to-date.
Is it possible to hold off till the next meeting?
I don't think it's
Approve
really,
the consent agenda with the exception of page 18.
it's not, okay, I mean, I think the year-to-date budgetary status is just an FYI, so there's not really like
There's no motion.
there's no motion to approve that in and of itself, you know, so I don't know if it's necessary to pull that out for the consent agenda and hold off on doing that, but, I mean, if I have a few minutes to look at this, I can explain.
I've pulled it, can I speak?
Go ahead.
Sorry. I've pulled up the spreadsheet right now and it looks like the expenditures are all correct. The remaining budget, I mean, it looks right with the formulas that are entered.
I think we should just,
We can just-
we can.
Oh, I know what
We
I
can
apologize.
update it.
At the bottom portion, it says capital utilization of reserves, utilization of that bottom portion there. That formula did not sum up, it only sums up the capital utilization of reserves with the subtotal. So that's why that bottom number is off.
So just,
But that's the utilization, the 2019 bond and the transfer, that's not in.
That's not in there, no.
can you give
Right.
us a number?
Sure.
In the meantime, while she's doing that, I just wanted to talk about I don't know if we're there yet, but if we can talk about the annual report.
Yeah, it's part of the consent agenda.
Yeah. While she's doing that, I'm on page 24 is where it starts, access services. just, it's been really enlightening to see, and just thank you so much for this report. I know a lot of time and work and effort has been put into that. And it just is, again, reaffirming, you know, that qualitative piece of it where, I mean, we can really actually go in and look at the hard numbers really for the amount of programming that's gone on and all the people who have participated in it and where our monies are being spent. But it's so great to see that alignment between what we are doing and our strategic plan and the vision, right? It's very clear and apparent, and also because it's very well written too, that you can really see those connections. So I think when, you know, we read or you go to these meetings where these other libraries are highlighting all these great things, I'm right along there with you where it's like, well, we could probably have done something very similar because I think we've hit so many different areas, especially with that sense of belonging, both the initiatives for both patrons as well as staff members, right? Since I know that that was something that we really wanted to highlight, so thank you for that.
Thank you, yeah, we're really proud of all the work that we accomplished this last year. I think it shows in the annual report, so I totally agree. Yep, go ahead.
I have the amended number, it's 16,275,069.
So that's, the third column from the right, the bottom number,
That's for the percent of budget remaining.
the amount of budget.
Yes.
not the percent.
I mean, the dollar amount, yes. Yes.
It's still not what you get if you go across, but that's fine. That's not going
I mean, I would assume that it's incorrect across the board underneath the
to, so right,
subtotal.
so
What are you saying?
Because it still doesn't add up with the other two numbers.
if you take 17,000,000.6 and you subtract 1.078, you don't get 16.275, you get 16.527. So I'm assuming there's other wrong numbers and won't be counted.
If it's okay with the board, I'll just look at it myself and send an email after the meeting right away and give you a clean version of this. Thank you.
Yeah, I also wanted to thank everybody for the annual report. The reports, particularly Nancy, I always enjoyed reading about community engagement, which we talked a lot about, as well as the other programs. Thank you. I'll just make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
So that's individual.
No, we can do a consensus.
Consensus? Okay, so anyone abstaining?
You can just say all those in favor first.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Approval of the consent agenda?
That was it.
That was that?
That's all the items under the consent agenda. We did it. Yeah.
Okay.
So the next item is action on participation in the non-resident fee program. So Aliza, this is new for you, but basically, as I explained in the memo, this is a requirement for us to do every year. It's kind of, it's something that doesn't really apply to us. It's for communities that have service areas within their community that are not taxed by the library. So those folks would basically choose to participate in this program to serve those people. But we don't have, the only people who live in the area or adjacent to us that are in an unincorporated area is Gulf. And those folks actually go to school in the Glenview public school system. So because of that, they would get the library cards from the Glenview Public Library. So
And then they could just use reciprocal.
exactly,
join us.
yeah. And with reciprocal wiring, that's what I said, like, with how that's set up with all the libraries around us, it's really important anyway, because people can use our library to check out materials. So every year I bring this forward to the board, and I recommend that the board decline participation in the state's non-resident fee program, since it's not really applicable to us. That's what I recommend. questions in that case.
Okay, so can I get a motion to decline participation in the state's non-resident fee program? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, we did have questions about the access report.
We can come back to
Oh,
that
we're gonna
after
come
this,
back.
yeah.
So, next.
So,
Okay, so for the last one, to decline participation in the state's non-resident fee program, do any opposed?
No.
Okay,
so it passes
So it passes.
4-0, yeah.
okay. And we move on to the approval of transfer from operating fund to reserve fund.
Did you wanna say a question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had a lot, I did a lot of reading.
Yeah. Come back to it.
No, it's okay, let's get this
Thank
one.
I was wondering what the adjustments were done in Libby and Hoopla.
Yeah.
I wish I had written down the page number.
Yeah,
But
no,
I didn't, but I,
It's 25.
it's 20, thank you.
Sure,
Because
do
that
you
looks
wanna-
really interesting.
Do you want to share a little bit?
Yeah, basically, we were trying to adjust the hold limits and the checkout limits in an effort to bring in some of the spending.
So it's per title?
Well, they operate differently. So for Libby, we purchase the titles, but often they will have restrictions on them, like this many checkouts can happen and then you have to buy it again. And they're very expensive per title. And then Hoopla is paid by cert. So if you, the patron, check out this ebook, we pay usually like $2.50 per checkout. Hoopla doesn't have wait lists because everything's always available because we just pay when you check it out. Libby does get wait lists. Sometimes they were getting quite long, and we look at those lists and we have ratios that we use. So if there are too many holds, we'll try to buy more copies to satisfy. Sometimes there's not enough money to go around to satisfy all the hold ratios. So we were just trying to tweak the parameters around those a little bit, and we did see it's early days because we just did it in February, but I think it peaked in March 1st. But we saw some slight expenditure declines. So we're just trying to monitor so that we can get the most use out of the funds that we have. Does that help? Or
Yeah, I assume that makes it, this is simpler than just buying the titles outright and it's cheaper than just buying the titles.
this is our only choice for through Libby. Yeah, you have to follow that playbook of purchasing through them, and yeah, we can't get access to ebooks. So it's a very complicated system that does not always work in libraries' favor.
This is a big concern and topic among both libraries in the country. Machine houses. And so next month, actually, I'm going to ask Hannibal to join us, share a little bit more about the state of the collection and publishing.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating. So I guess when ebooks came out, they made a bunch of laws.
Yeah, it's the landscape has changed multiple times throughout the history of ebooks, but it's never really been good for libraries to be able to provide books in the same way that we do with our print copies, where yes, we can just go buy 10 for John Fisher books or something. It's so much pay for them, but the cost is so much less. Some of the audiobooks can be $150 to buy them and provide access, and then sometimes that access is limited. So
Okay, so
We'll
keep
dive
tweaking.
Yes.
deeper. Yeah. we'll
Yes.
dive deeper.
Wow.
Hearing about it.
Thank you. Should I just go down my list of comments? I'm sorry, I thought we were going to discuss it more. I found it fascinating that kids were almost half of the visitors in May, which I didn't realize. I didn't see that number before. That was 46% of visitors attended the kids section.
But
That's normal.
I top at 7 public libraries that youth services drives most of the income. So like families, big part of
That was very interesting.
Yeah.
Quantitative data. Bookmobile numbers were also insane. That was, I don't have it in front of me, but that was also. I was wondering, so this is a me problem, which is that a lot of the times I will see events in board packets that I didn't know about ahead of time, that I would be like, oh, I kind of need like them to hit me in the face a couple of times. And that's on me because I don't know where the newsletter is in my email. If I miss it in the mail for some reason, then that's it. I haven't seen it. So I was wondering if there are physical newsletters available in the library. Okay, I gotta look for them. And I was wondering if it's possible, I don't know how to look this up, I'm sorry. If it's possible to sign up for certain email information about events, like to check them off and be like, oh, I would be interested in these kinds, and then get us additional email about them.
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, we do have physical newsletters all throughout the building. They also have a PDF version of the newsletter plus the full events calendar on our website. So that's another way to check on our website. It has the today's events. Check in the morning of the practice.
Yeah, the calendar I've definitely seen.
Okay, okay. In terms of the email, that's a great question. I know our communications team has been thinking about email communication strategy, and I believe that that's what it is. This is more directed emails for getting to different groups. So right now we do have some of that, but we rely a lot on our one big email that is users. So obviously those.
Yeah.
But we can't cover everything in that because it's not meant to be like
Just the number of events that are in here.
it's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
I know, actually, I feel the same way, you know, so, yeah, it is hard to keep up. It's just so much variety and a sheer number of.
What a great problem to have.
Yeah.
I just wanted to note that.
Yeah. But it's been, I'm glad you brought it up. It's a good point of, good question for us to continue. How do we do more to help people navigate all of that?
Yeah, it's because there's so much work being put into it, and if there are people who are interested and just don't know about it, it would really benefit. I know we talked about social media. I mean, like even just like posting the day of about the event, I think would pop up in my feed. I think other people might find that helpful. So that's just something else. And there was live background music. One of the nights that's so beautiful.
Yeah, we started experimenting with that a little bit. We had a harvest reception. We're experimenting with that a little bit.
Yeah, because there are quiet rooms upstairs, so anyone who's looking for the quiet.
Sure, yeah, and on the first floor it's pretty lively, you know, and it's not really silent or so kind of nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna let you continue now. Thank
Oh,
you for
thank
your
you.
attention.
Thank you.
They were fascinating.
Okay, so approval of transfer from operating fund to reserve fund.
Did you have a question?
Okay, yeah.
Why do we need to do that? Why are we approving it for now? Is it usually at a different time of year?
No, this is a regular
This is
time
the
that we do a
fiscal-
transfer, yeah, usually after the fiscal year ends, we look at our finances, look at our general operating fund balance, and then kind of what we might be able to transfer to the. So same process this year. The only kind of tweak or something that's different this year is that we normally don't like explicitly budget the transfer into our yearly budget, but this year It kind of fits into the budget, so.
And that was for capital improvement?
The transfer would go from the general operating fund to the reserve fund if approved, and the reserve fund is for capital improvement. Yeah, Allison and I looked at as I said, on the cash flow analysis for the general operating fund as well as the reserve fund, and determined that we could transfer from the general operating fund. Calculate forward the numbers for next February, look at that. From this point, the normal lowest point of visual, we would still be at a very healthy place right before we start getting all this money. So this would also help us, just as a reminder, with the capital asset plan that we have, that we're to time to make improvements to our company. We have to keep putting money into the reserve fund in order to keep that at a safe level, and as well as for various projects. So last year we had the chiller replacement and various other the petty project, obviously. This year we have some big projects, one of which is a replacement of those, which we're not ready to give for consideration, of course, but if we know we're that a little bit. So it is really a good practice for us to keep putting money into the reserve to build that up, so that when we pay for new projects, it's still more capital. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to address.
I think it's good in terms of money issues for the board. Every year we have to approve the budget, we have to approve the tax increase. Those two are related, but they're separate votes set at separate times. So the timing of this is basically around May 1 fiscal year, so at the end of April, we don't find out till May how much money we actually spent last year, because you have to close your books. So in May, we found out how much we actually spent, and now in June, we're saying we have enough spent to move the 600, so that's why this is a typical time. From last year's.
It's not required, but yeah, I agree with Gene, and it's a good time to do it, and there's clarity in our projections right now. Questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve transfer $600,000 from the general operating fund.
What she said.
Second.
Second. Yes.
Liza? Yes. Michelle? Yes. Yes for me. Now on to the approval of the volunteer policy.
As I noted in my memo, this is a policy that, as you all know, we've been taking our way through. We have so many policies, and this policy is quite old, so it's not a policy that we're constantly referring to. So there was no absolute urgency, prior to this. There still isn't, honestly. It's not something that comes up a lot. It would be good practice to update this policy and just have policy, especially with our attorney. So there were so many changes that we didn't really redline this. We just kind of started from scratch. Have any questions about the volunteer policy? Hopefully it was straightforward. I'd be happy to answer them.
Once again. I just know that personally, when I consider volunteering somewhere, I tried to volunteer at the library many times. There's never been an opening when I looked. One of my concerns in a public-facing position I know we are very, very fortunate that the Skokie population, we've discussed this before, the Skokie population is very respectful, and there are not so many issues that where security needs to get involved. But maybe some kind of protective language for the volunteers. I know that would have made me feel more comfortable as a volunteer. Just that they have the same kind of protection that the employees have.
In what sense? I'm not sure.
Just in terms of them being public facing, and talking to patrons and talking to clients, and just that if there was some kind of situation or a security concern, that I know this isn't something that necessarily needs to be in there, but, I just thought it might be a
Yeah,
nice.
I appreciate the comment. And I can't agree. I don't know if it's necessary for a policy like this. I think it's just implied that anyone in this building, right, volunteers, students down, patrons, vendors, it is a matter of concern for us and something about the safety. If there are situations that a volunteer has issue or concern, something in the building or someone, definitely our safety staff will respond. Staff member. Yeah, I want to show you that safety holistic needs are staff by staff and volunteers and kind of.
What about sort of legal protection?
We don't think what's that?
Like if a patron decides they want to sue a volunteer?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to think about the hypothetical, legal situation with lawsuits and that kind of thing. So I don't want to speak too much on that, honestly. But anything that happens in the library, we have insurance coverages, we have attorneys. If it happens in the library, then it's under that umbrella. So it's not like not to the side and you're on your own, especially if they're volunteers. But it's hard to talk about hypotheticals.
I
because
know,
can't
I know.
Guarantee anything or an outcome.
And they do sign something.
We have a volunteer.
There's a form that has kind of those kind of just like.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so it is a direct.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, it's very, it's crafted and cared for, like there's a process within which we onboard volunteers and help them get situated in the building. And issues or whatever, I think volunteers would know. Supervisor, safety, just like any other patient. Safety are very easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've never had an issue with volunteers.
Yeah, and add a couple of
Yeah,
other
sure.
things. We are going to be in the process, we are in the process of updating like the manual for volunteers as well, to document some of the processes that Richard indicated. We also have like volunteer name tags so that people, other staff can recognize them, that they are volunteers, as well as patrons, that, that they're not staff, but they are volunteers, they are helping. As part of the safety, process and like the tours that we give volunteers to for orientation, we let them know too that like, if there's anything that's a problem, go to any staff person, they also, and have them, call safety or call our volunteer specialist. So they know to do that as well.
Yeah,
Okay, if you have other questions.
it's just because I don't know why I think of them as like vulnerable in terms of like that they're not on salary, that sometimes they could be 12, that they're young. So just, in terms of that.
Yeah, well, let's talk, because if there are concerns, I definitely want to hear about them, I certainly don't want anyone. volunteer for public
Right.
library. I think we create a safe environment.
Yeah, it sounds like there haven't been any incidents, so it's not
Yeah.
really.
Like even teens, like you said, like teens who volunteer, they, our teen services staff, guys that are volunteer. Always are. The environment as a whole, we try to basically kind of create a. It's not like loosely managed. You know.
No, I can see that. I can see that it's a
But
program.
really, if you have any concerns or fear,
Oh, yeah, no, haven't heard anything.
okay.
Thank you.
Approve the revision of the volunteer policy as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the revision of personnel. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Approval of the computer technology equipment and internet use policy.
I just want to get my policy. So as Richard mentioned, we've been going through all of the policies, updating them. The internet usage policy was last updated in 2014, so it's been a while, time to revisit. We basically, all of the points that are in the current policy, which is on our website, have been incorporated in some way into this, so it wasn't a ditching of the old policy and a institution of a new one. But in addition to that, we tried to clarify that this policy covers more than just using the internet at one of our computers. It also includes, if you are checking out technology equipment, Library of Things, it includes the machines in the studio. It includes using our wireless network as well. And we ran it past our attorneys who also recommended including that little paragraph about artificial intelligence. So we've included that. I did want to make one note, which is on right before Roman numeral 5. The sentence right before that was actually got inserted by accident, so we will actually be striking that because it's covered later on in the policy. The sentence that reads violation of these terms may result in suspension, that's covered at the bottom of the policy.
We already refreshed the PDF, so you might.
Yes. Yes, it's correct in your iPads now.
Yeah, was this an accidental?
Formatting thing.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. So I welcome any questions or comments, but I recommend approval of the computer technology equipment and internet use policy.
Have we had the actual issues with tampering with the equipment? Library, I mean, I think like,
No, most of the issues we have around computers are behavior issues amongst the people using them, not behavior in the use of the computer. And that's addressed in the appropriate library use policy. Yeah.
To approve the computer technology equipment and internet use policy. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The approval of the revision of personnel.
That's me. Hi, everyone. I'm bringing you an updated version of the personnel code. So this is one of the policies that we bring with a bit more frequency because it helps us keep in compliance with employment law, which is incredibly important. This update does that. So this updated version of the personnel code has been reviewed thoroughly by our attorney. And also it includes the addition of a employee dating policy, which is new and provides very clear guidelines on workplace dating. We also clarified our remote work policy, and you can see in the memo some of the more just making the policy more usable for not just attorneys, but also for our employees. I welcome any questions, any comments about the policy, and I recommend that the board approves the updated personnel policy or personnel code.
Was
there a reason that dating policy has to be updated?
It's considered a best practice, so it's considered a good transparency, and also it provides very clear guidelines for HR to follow should something happen. So
I'm
it's,
just being.
no, I hear you. But yeah, it's a best practice.
I have a question, and not about the new stuff, actually, about 3.2.7 on page 68, background criminal history records check.
Yes.
When we refer to background checks as opposed to criminal check, what's the background check? And say it's the DCFS.
It is.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
That you may just want to look at how you're wording the language. So, commands blank one last time. They're doing a criminal background check that shows people have convictions. At DCFS, they can indicate for child abuse, technically that's not a criminal conviction. So that's why, but there's a separate DCFS database that keeps, so we wanted to make this, we put in Richard, he was one of the first guys we did the cans check to make sure we do a DCFS check on
Yeah.
everybody. But the wording of the policy, so I'm glad to hear that's still
Yes.
there. In the second paragraph, you say an offer of employment may be withdrawn and employment may be terminated. If the background check discloses any conviction, the background check will not disclose a conviction. It will disclose an indicated finding of child abuse. But it's a legal point, but the point is, background is separate from criminal. Criminal will come up with a conviction. Background check will say, this person has been indicated for child abuse or neglect. So we shouldn't say the background will indicate a conviction, because it doesn't. It's even more important to me because it's indicating the finding of abuse or neglect. So I would just amend your wording there to change the word finding of the conviction to finding an indication of child abuse or something to that. If that makes sense.
So in the third line of the second paragraph, with the background check discloses.
The fourth line, actually, the word conviction discloses any conviction.
I was just starting with the out of the.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The background check discloses any.
Yep.
And then
Instead of saying disclose any conviction, discloses any indicated finding of abuse.
we're noting that if the board wants to approve as amended, and we can do that.
And hopefully that's not a union issue. That's what you're looking for, the background as opposed to the criminal.
Yes, yeah.
Motion to approve the revision of the personnel code as amended.
Motion to approve is amended.
Aye. Yes. So can I get a motion to go into discussion?
So, well, we're gonna get site.
Yeah, that's like, this one.
Selection of the person in the building office.
So,
Second. Or was it,
You do.